Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube video, to my YouTube channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers for joining me. My name is Tracy Evans. Because of the new subscribers, I've been asked about my group. If you put in Tracy Evans, then my group will pop up. Tracy Evans, Craft Addicts, Create, Share, Inspire. And in that group, we share ideas with all my stamp designs. And it's a lovely, friendly group. So if you'd like to join, please feel free. And I've then also been asked about workshops. If you click on files, then I've got a workshop schedule for last year and this year. There are over 41 workshops. So there's lots of choice there. And we're a lovely, friendly group. So if you want to join, please feel free. So I was just asked for that recently because a few new members had joined my YouTube channel and they were wondering about the group. So I just thought I'd mention that. What we're going to do is we're going to start today's video with a piece of 6x6 inch Bristol smooth card. You can use pink frog card if you wish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this stamp set. And I'm going to use the suitcase. So this is Enjoy the Journey. And I've got everything on the floor, just like you do. So I'm just going to add that to my border acrylic block. And what I want to do first is I just want to draw a circle. So I'm going to use the lid that I've got in my room. You can use a plate or a dish or whichever you prefer. So I'm just going to draw around that circle. Just got that where I want. So you can use a saucer. Anything like that will suffice. So just draw yourself a circle onto your card. If you've got a die that is sort of a nice big circle, then you can use your die. Absolutely no problem at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the suitcase. And I'm just going to give that an inking. Not really too bothered about the numbers at the moment. So we're just going to go around the case. If we get a few of those numbers, it's not a problem. I don't mind at all. But I don't necessarily want all of them. So I've got a nice layer of ink. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover over my card and just decide where I want that suitcase. And I think we're going to go for there. And what I'm going to do is just allow that ink to sit a few moments. I don't want to be in too much of a rush to lift that image from the card. Now, Bristol Smooth is a very smooth card. And some smooth cards, they're not as absorbent when you're using an ink pad like the VersaFine Clair that's got a good open time, which means it stays wetter longer. So that's exactly what the VersaFine Clair is. It's got a good open time and stays wetter longer. And it just gives time, because it stays wetter longer, because there's lots of lines and details in most of these stamp sets, it gives it time for you to grab that detail with your ink pad. And then you get a lovely image. Brilliant. So we'll just move that out the way. And what we're going to do is we're just going to blot that image. It's important that you blot because it's a very smooth surface and it is slightly sleek. You just want to make sure, if you can see there, you can see a shadow of the ink that's remaining on there. So we're just going to blot that again. Now what you can do is you can heat it with your heat tool if you wish. But I'm not going to use a heat tool at the moment unless it's still wet by the time we come to colour. So I'm not going to bother with that. So what we're going to do is, I've got a little bit of the pencil line showing through the briefcase, which I will rub out eventually. Just let me show that. You can see it's showing through here, but I will actually rub that out once the ink is dry. What I want to do then is I want to use through the Meadows stamp set. So I want some of these circles and these details, because it's all about a journey. So I've got my stamp set. Let's just move this out of the way. And what I've done is I've cut the case out of scrap paper. I'd got that already cut out. And what I'm going to do is ink up the butterfly and the circles. So I'm just inking those up. So we've got the butterfly and we've got the circles. Let me just look if I can do it on an acrylic block. Yes, I can. So what I want to do is just stamp the image into my circular area. And I'm just going to allow that to sit, because you've got quite a lot of detail here. So that's why we're using an ink with a good open time, because you've got so much detail. The more detail that we cram into these stamps to give you that beautiful fine detail, then you need an ink pad with a good open time. And that's why we recommend the VersaFine Clair, because it's got that wonderful open time. And it just gives you time to ink that stamp up properly, because it takes a couple of seconds to ink that stamp, because you're picking up every fine detail. So you need a tool, which is the VersaFine Clair, that is just going to work beautifully with that stamp set. I'm using the AALL&Create acrylic blocks just to add my detail. So we've got the mask here, and just look at that. We're building our own collage within the circle. There's a little bit out there, but that's fine. So we're building a collage within the circle, just so that you can see that. Absolutely beautiful. So we don't want to fill it too much. We don't want to fill everything within an inch of its life. So what I want to do now is just pop that on one side, and then I want to grab a little bit more of the Bristol Smooth card. I will blot that shortly. So we're just going to stamp that butterfly just once more. And what this is about, what this little video is about enjoying your stamps and mixing and matching. It's about building your own collage, but enjoying using all your stamps. So you could do with this with lots of your stamps. So it's just about that, really. Just simple processes. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. So what we need to do is we need to blot. Just because that surface isn't absorbent, it's got a smooth, slick, you know, surface. And the reason we're using that is because the Ecoline pens will work beautifully. But don't worry, if you haven't got Ecoline pens, you can use any pens you've got, or you can use Distress Oxides. You don't have to have every product that I've got. There's always a way around it. But I do think that we should be using our products and using our stamps and enjoying them. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm mixing and matching my stamps. And if there's a stamp I haven't used for a bit, well, then I like to use it. There we go. And what I should have done is I should have got my pens out beforehand, rather than you watch me get the pens out. But I just thought I'd let you see how many Ecoline pens I've got. They're all stored in a little basket, like so. So what have we got here? Sky blue. What have we got? Bluish green. See, I'm going to have so many now. So we want turquoise blue. Bluish green sounds nice. I don't want a deep green. Is that what that says? Sky blue light. There's so many colours in here. Turquoise green. Let's use those. I've been having a sort out of my craft room, and I'm trying to make it so that I use all my products, so that they're easy to reach and that I use them all. That's the plan anyway. So what I'm going to do is make sure my water brush is clean. Yes, it is. And let's just check these colours. So what colour's this? So this is turquoise blue. And this is bluish green. Oh yeah, they're quite nice. So do I need that one? Turquoise green. Oh no, I'm just confusing myself. Which ones do I want? They're all lovely colours. Oh dear me, let's have these two. So we're going to have turquoise blue and bluish green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the turquoise blue just to my circles. So as you can see, nothing super professional, just adding it. And then just add the bluish green just around the edges. And let's blend that out, see what we've got. I just love how the Bristol Smooth, it really grabs hold of the colour and really pulls it out. And that's what I like about the Bristol Smooth. You do sort of get a lovely transition from the dark to the light. And it does blend beautifully. So let's just, whoops, let's not roll the pens over. Let's add a little bit here. Like so. I do find this fun because using the Bristol Smooth, it makes you look good even if you're not. Even if you're not brilliant at colouring, the Bristol Smooth, it does make you look good because you get that beautiful blend of colour from the dark to the light. And it just works beautifully. So just blend this out. And it goes to show that using the right card is definitely important. I just love that. Just think that's beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to colour our butterfly. Let's get the butterfly. We will colour our case as well. I keep picking up the wrong pen. So we're going to colour our butterfly. Just adding the lightest colour first, and then a little bit of the darker colour. And then we can just blend that out. And again, because you're cutting it out, you don't have to worry too much. And I do absolutely love how this blends out on this Bristol Smooth card. And what you can do is you can add a little bit more darkness just to give a little bit more shading, and you can get rid of those lines, so you can keep adding until you're happy that you've got a little bit of depth to your butterfly, a little bit of darkness, just a little bit more, like so. A little bit more down here. And the pens are so juicy, they work really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that butterfly out now, just to give us some depth. Now, if you don't want, oh, we've missed part of the butterfly here. If you don't want to cut the butterfly out, you can just keep your collage flat. It doesn't have to be dimensional like mine is. You know, you can keep yours completely flat. So don't worry, you know, if you think, well, cutting out's just not my thing, then keep everything flat. It's gone a bit cooler again today. I was out yesterday and I did so much gardening, I could hardly bend. And then now, it's actually quite cool today, so I can't believe it. So we're just cutting this out, like so. So just cut out your butterfly. You don't need to leave a white border this time, because you're just cutting your butterfly out edge to edge, because you don't need the white border, because it's going to go completely over your butterfly. Just remember, when you're using that Bristol Smooth card, you just need to make sure that your imagery is completely dry. And if you don't want to use a heat tool, you can just let it dry, or you can just keep blotting. So just cutting that image out, like so. There we go. Again, relatively easy to cut out, really. There we go. So the idea is that, whoops, that this will go over there like that. And we're doing a monochromatic card, so that most of it is monochromatic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to colour our case. Just like so. I think we'll add somebody on top of the case who's going for the travels. So we will add somebody on the case. And I actually don't need to worry about rubbing out the line, because we're colouring in, so it's not too detrimental at all. So we're just adding that colour. And then we're going to add some of the darker colour. Oh, we've missed one of the edges. Like so. There we go. Just across the edge as well. So I'm just going around the edges. And I'll add my darker colour, which will be difficult to see on camera because we've got these detailed lines on the case, so you won't be able to see very well in camera until I lift it up, but we'll continue to add the shading anyway. So we're just going to blend that out. And it is so therapeutic. And I just like the fact that you don't have to be too technical with it. I always wondered, you know, when people used to say that card makes such a difference. In this case, using the eco lines, the card makes a massive difference, because I used some card and I wasn't getting the blend, and I just couldn't understand why I wasn't getting the blend. And now I understand. It's all to do with the card that you use. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit more colour just around here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take our time just to colour the case, just to take our time. So I'm going to add a little bit round here. So don't be in too much of a rush just to colour everything. Just enjoy the process. Just take your time. And actually, the more layers that you add, the better it gets. Just get my water flowing. There we go. Just add a little bit more around here. And obviously, because this card can take moisture, because you're adding quite a bit of moisture to your design, but this card can actually take that moisture, which is brilliant. You don't have to worry about it, it takes it. So we're just building the layers to our case. Let's just knock that butterfly off. But I want to do a little bit more work, just to add a little bit more shading, just in a couple of the areas, just to give a little bit more darkness. Where you would expect it to be dark, just around these areas here. I'm just adding a little bit more depth. I think it's worthwhile just to create that little bit more depth. And it's lovely because it's Easter weekend coming. My daughter's moving home. She's actually leaving us this weekend. And my husband is helping her to move house. So she's moving to London. So it's quite a weekend for us. So it's actually quite nice just enjoying myself and creating something just because. That's it. Just because. For no other reason other than just because. So this is going to add here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going, what's this here? This is fir green. What colour does that give? Just having a look at if there's anything. Yeah, what's great about these is that each colour you go to, it's not too dark. I'm just adding a little bit more darkness. Mainly because I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying using my pens. And I just don't want to rush. So I'm just using this fir green just to give me a little bit more darkness. Just in some of the areas. Just to give it a little bit more life. And what you would do is, before you do anything else on the card, you would allow the card to dry naturally before you work on it anymore. I'm a great believer in letting the card rest. So when you've worked on it so much, you can let the card rest. So I'm just adding a little bit more depth, just around the edges. And you probably can't see it in camera, but it works beautifully. Oh, I'm trying to put the wrong lid on the wrong thing. There we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add some cotton threads behind my butterfly, just to give me a little bit more texture. So it just gives me some added texture that I like. I love adding cotton threads. Just add a little bit so that when I add my butterfly, the cotton gets captured. So I add some below and some on top, just so that it gets captured. There we go. And I want it to have some life. So just add that there. I'll probably add a pen nib, but we'll think about that shortly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a black pen. And I keep thinking, where did I put my black pens? Yes, this is one disadvantage of having a sort out, is you can't actually remember where you've put everything. It's hilarious. So make sure I've got a pen that works, okay? And what I'm going to do is that circle that I drew, around, I'm just reiterating that circle, and it doesn't have to be straight. If you want it to be straight, just grab your container again and place it over the top and draw. It's not going to matter for us because we're going to add some doodles, so it's not going to matter one bit whether you go straight or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some little doodles. So I'm going to go around my, look how professional that is. You don't need to worry about it too much, apart from nudging your little butterfly. You don't want to nudge your butterfly. And let me just lift that up so that you can see I've just drawn a squiggly line, which we're then going to add some little doodles. So I will lift it up so that you can see. So I'm just adding some little doodles. If you prefer to do some writing, some little doodling with your own writing around the outside circle, then you do that. Both of them will work absolutely fine. But what I'm trying to do is, one, get you to use your stamps so they're not gathering dust, and two, relax into the project. Do a little bit of doodling and just relax into it. It's Thursday, we're coming up to Good Friday, and we don't want anything too stressful. We just want a project that's just nice and easy to follow. Or you may be doing this over the weekend. So I'm just adding my little doodles. Like so. And I'll hold it up so that you can see this. I do find this little bit quite relaxing. And it sort of makes everything pop, brings everything to life. Let me just so that you can see that. Now, I don't want to add blue shading around here because I like the whiteness of it. I like the contrast of the white, so that makes me happy. So what I'm going to do now is we want a little character. I've got stamp sets everywhere. Let's get rid of that one. I think we'll be all right with the border stamp. Let's just move this out of the way. Got everything everywhere. Let's make some space. There, you can hear it go thud. And what we're going to do is we're going to add one of our little characters. because he's the one that's going to go travelling. So which one do we want? So this one could go travelling, like so. Yes, I think, do we want that one, or do we want the one that's got the scarf blowing in the wind? So you could have the one with the scarf blowing in the wind, because he's going on his travels, or the one with the flower. I think I'm going to have the one with the flower. So I love using these little characters. I love using them in different ways, maybe ways that you wouldn't expect. Whoops, can't bend. Spot the person that can't bend because she's been doing too much gardening. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the little fox with his little flower. Now you could stamp directly onto the card if you wish of the project, but I'm going to stamp and cut out the little fox. So it doesn't take much ink in the little fox, doesn't? It's lovely, lovely little thing. So we're going to blot that because it's on the Bristol Smooth. Just to make sure little man is dry. And then I've got some grey Ecoline pens. Let me see. I can't be doing with them in this packet. That's going to drive me mad. So let's grab these two greys. So what greys have we got? We've got cool grey and grey. So let's use those. Make sure we've got no blue on there. And just add some grey to our little fox. Yes, you can colour your fox because the orange of a fox would go quite well if you coloured him in browns and oranges, so that would work well as also. Add some of the darker around the outside edges. So I'm using two colours, just giving a little bit of darkness, and then I'm going to blend those out. And again, it doesn't matter if I go over the lines because I'm going to cut him out. So just take your time. So what we're going to do the little flower in. I don't know why I've kept the packaging to that one, because the packaging drives me mad. So should we do the flower in... First colour I grabbed was orange, so let's do the flower in an orange colour. We don't need to blend that out. So there's the little flower in orange. And yes, I'm going to cut that out. You can just stamp direct onto the card if you wish. Don't stress about if you can't cut something out. It's not a problem at all. Just going to blot that to make sure that's okay. And then I'm going to cut my little fox out. And I think he might have to have a hat for his little journey, because he's going on a journey. So he might have to have his little hat. Because I think a little hat for a day trip out with his little flower is a good idea. As I say, you can stamp this direct onto the project. So don't stress if you can't cut out. I just wanted to have a little bit of dimension with a cut out piece, so that's why I'm cutting out. You can choose just to stamp it direct on the project and colour it in. It'll look just as good, no problem at all. So around the thin areas, I'm just leaving a little white border, especially on his little skinny legs. And if you stamp it direct onto the card, you wouldn't have to cut his legs out, so it wouldn't be a problem. There we go. There's my little fox. Oops, just nudged the camera. He's going on a little trip with his little flower, look. There he is, he's going on a trip with his little flower. Look at him. Right, so we're going to adhere the fox. So let's just adhere him. So a little bit. My glue is in a right mess. I don't know what I've done to my glue. Just add that with this little flower. And of course he's going to have a hat. Definitely going to have a hat. Little foxes. I need to do something with this glue, for goodness sake, what a mess. That's better. So he's going to have a hat, just because it'd be rude not to. So he's going to have the hat that comes with the same set, up and away. Just stamp that. Like so. Cute little hat that is. So, we're going to do that in oranges. We're going to colour the hat in oranges. He's going to have a nice orange hat to match his little flower. So that is vermilion. And again, it doesn't matter if you go over the lines because you're going to cut it out. Just adding a little bit of the darker colour, which is burnt sienna. So just adding a little bit of that darker colour. Just around the outside edge. I do like how these blend. And what you would do really before you cut out is you would make sure that everything was dry. Because it's far easier to cut out when you're stamping and your ink blending is dry, because you're not working with a floppy piece of card. I mean, this is substantial anyway. This is 300 GSM, but you would wait until it dries. I'm looking forward to a weekend of planting, and I don't think the weather's going to stay good. I've just got a feeling it's not going to be very nice this weekend, which is just typical, isn't it, when you're planning on planting. So just going to stick his little hat. He's got to have a hat for his journey. Look at that, what a dapper little gentleman. He's going for his journey. I don't know where he's going for Easter holidays, but he's going on his travels for his Easter holidays. He doesn't know where yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of shading just around some of the edges. So just add a little bit of shading just around the suitcase. So I'm using my grey Inktense pencil just to add a little bit of shading here. So let's go around there. So just adding if you wanted to, you could also add a paper doll paper doll would work quite well as well. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of shading just around the circle, just around my wavy line, just to give it a touch of shading. Like so. We want to add a word as well. So we've not quite finished yet. So just going around with the Inktense pencil. If you don't have an Inktense pencil, just use your grey Distress Oxide that's reactive with water. You could use that. So let's go round and just blend that out. And I have to say, this Bristol Smooth, superb for blending. Superb. Just add that here. I've hardly put any of the Inktense pencil around the circle, and it's blending absolutely beautifully. Very impressed. So let me show you the blending. I don't know whether you'll pick it up in camera. You can just see it here. It is all the way around the edges, just so that you can see that. It is all the way around there. So before I add the finishing touches, I just want to make sure that I add some mats and layers, because I can add my embellishments afterwards. So what I want to do is just add some white splatters. I don't want to add absolutely loads. I just want to add some delicate splatters just to bring it to life. And then I'm just going to add some little some splatters of the orange, just to bring it together. Just so that the orange is just not random. So I've just picked 2 of the Ecoline pens just to add those orange splatters, just so that you can see you're bringing a touch of that orange into the background, just so that it makes sense. And I'm just going to wait for that Ecoline to dry, because I think it'd be nice to add the shading on the inside with the grey as well. But we can do that afterwards. Let's just get some copier paper, because I don't like to work on a messy surface when I'm matting and layering. So what I've done with my mat and layers is I've gone up 1/4 inch. So this was 6 by 6, so then I've gone up 1/4 inch for the mat and layers. Just bring that in and just add that. Make sure your hands are nice and clean. Let me just pick that up just so I can move that. There we go. Now what you could do is you could bring a pop of the orange. So let's grab an orange ink pad, just so that we bring that pop of orange. Of course, I probably won't find the one I want, so we'll use ripe persimmon. Just find an ink blending tool. Have we got one that's... Let's use a new one for orange. What do you think? So we'll use a new one for orange. So just move this out the way. Move my scrap paper out the way. And then what we're going to do is bring a little bit of orange. So it's ripe persimmon, Distress Oxide ink. Make sure I've got plenty of ink on my ink blending tool. Nice lot of ink there. And just blend around the outside edges, just to bring in that pop of orange, just so that it doesn't look like it's an afterthought. So just add a little bit more ink. Like so. Just take your time to add that. Brilliant. It's lovely just having that pop of colour. We can put that away. So we don't end up with too much everywhere. Bring in my copier paper, just so I'm working on a clean surface. And then we can add this to the pop of orange, just so it gives a pow of colour. Just add that. I love creating these projects. You know, when you don't have to rush. You can just take your time. Just make sure you've got your matte and layer in the right place. Just brings that pop of orange from the background into the foreground and vice versa. Just lovely. Then we're going to add to another black layer. So going up 1/4 of an inch. If you don't want to go up 1/4 of an inch, then just go up 1 centimetre or whichever you prefer. If you prefer a finer matting layer. I do think the matting and layering really does give it a more professional look. Personally, I think it brings it a more professional look. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to a 7" by 7" card blank. Just add that to our card blank. I always make sure that it opens up, because we don't want an upside down card, do we? So just make sure it's on there nicely. That works well. Just think the matting and layering finishes it off so beautifully. Love it. So now I can just add some finishing touches. So first of all, I want to add a pen nib. Couldn't think of my words. So we've got a pen nib. What does that say a word on it? This might be one of Tim Holtzy's. It says memories. So that might be one of Tim Holtzy's pen nibs, but it has got memories on there, which is lovely. So just adding some adhesive. And you do have to give that a few minutes for it to actually grab. Because if you don't give it a few minutes, it won't grab properly. And then what we want to do is we want to add a sentiment. Let me see what we've got. So on the Enjoy the Journey set, we've got capture every moment, be free, enjoy the journey, live life to the full, explore and moments. So I think maybe journey or explore. Let's do journey. Let's do journey. Just grab my acrylic block. Let's just take this so that it stays clean. Let's just pull that out of the way. Got my journey text. We've got a scrap of card. Like so. I love these. I don't think that's a nice clean piece of card, Tracy. So let's use another piece. I've got that many pieces of card on the floor. I don't know which is which anymore. Just add that. Lovely font. Just put that back so we don't lose that. And then we'll just give my hands a little bit of a wipe. Just because I've touched that stamp set, so just give that a bit of a wipe. And then what we can do is cut that out. Oh, blot that first. Remember to blot it, because if I've used that Bristol Smooth, yes, I used Bristol Smooth, so you just need to blot that. And then we're going to cut that out. A little bit thinner. There we go. Got that many pieces of scrap card and scrap paper everywhere. It's ridiculous. So we've got our journey, which you can then decide where you're going to put. So I'm going to add my journey here, like so, just in my little cluster. And Tracy's put the adhesive down. Oh, there it is. It's like, how can you lose the adhesive that quick? You'd be surprised what I can lose in a small amount of space. So just add that journey, like so. Just takes a couple of seconds to grab hold, because we've got a little bit of that cotton twine underneath as well. So it just takes a second or so just to grab hold. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of my grey Inktense pencil. But obviously I will get a bit of the blue, because I've got that Ecoline pen underneath. That's okay. So let's just blend that out a little bit. We don't add too much water, should be fine. There we go. I love how the cotton thread is on there. Then I need to get another little embellishment. I've got so engrossed, I bought a cup of tea up here, and have I drank it? No, not touched it. Not touched it at all. Just brilliant. Not. Just add my index clip there, like so. I was going to add some shading to the inside of the circle, but now looking at it, I actually like the pop of white, so I don't want to do that. But what I do want to do is give a little bit more definition to the case. So I'm just going to add a little bit of grey of the Inktense pencil. I'm just going to add a little bit of grey of the Inktense pencil just around the edges, just to give it, whoops, come here, just to give it a little bit more depth and shading. So just a little bit of that Inktense pencil, just to give it a little bit more shading. So just to give it a little bit more depth. So I've just added that Inktense pencil. I'm using the wrong water brush because this one's got more. That's better. So just adding that little bit of definition, just to give it a little bit more shading and darkness just around the edges. I just love it. Just think it's so lovely. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more detail just to the case. So what I've got is I've got my season stamp set, and it's got some of these numbers on here. So I'm going to use some of these numbers. I just think the numbers are lovely. Because we've got numbers here, and we've got a hint of numbers here. So I'm just going to add some numbers from my season stamp set. Now, which ones do I fancy? I do like the number 6. So we'll use the number 6. And we're going to use the black ink. Try not to get it all over your acrylic block, unlike Tracy. So just going to add a 6 there. See, I like the numbers. I love the numbers. Then we'll grab a number 8. The numbers just bring the case into the detail, just so that it's got, in this case it's been on its travels, so it has all these stamps all over it. So what number now? Let's have this number. Is this number 2? It's like how I don't know. And you like how I wait for a response from you, as if you're going to answer me back. So where are we going to put the number 2? There. Oh, I love it. Over destination. Oh, that's just fab. Just love that. I think I'm going to add another number 2. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Stamping makes me happy. Another number 2 there. Oh, these numbers are fab. Oh, I could stamp these everywhere. Oh, I like these numbers. That's it, an odd number 5. Absolutely love these numbers. So let's put my season stamp set there. And I think that is done. What you can do is create yourself an insert. So what you would do is you could either just stamp the fox on the insert, or stamp one of these circles. See, now, no, we're going to do an insert because I want to finish it properly. So let's just grab another piece of the Bristol smooth card because I want to finish the card properly. So what you could do is cut yourself a piece of card. So the card blank is 7 by 7. So if I cut a piece 6.5 by 6.5 for the insert, you wouldn't believe how much ink I've got all over my hands. It's hilarious, the ink I've got over my hands. Let me just get rid of that. Get rid of that orange that we had on the background. So you can just stamp the little fox, or you could even put one of the circles from the butterfly stamp on the inside of the card. You could put that on the inside of the card with one of the circles from the Through the Meadows stamp set. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to add the lovely little fox to the inside. Move them scissors that are getting in my way. And he looks like he's running, ready for a journey. He really does. He looks like he's off somewhere. So just give that a blot. Because a little bit of ink does come off. So just give that a blot. Then let's just add a little bit of the Inktense pencil, just to add a little bit of shading. There we go, a little bit of shading. Then what we can do is we can use the word explore that was through the journey, enjoy the journey stamp set, because he's going to explore. He's going to explore lots of places. And just add that to the inside, like so. Do you like how I tell you a story as I'm going along? So just blot that, just to make sure. And I'm not going to colour my rabbit in, but if you wanted to, you could even stamp the hat and add the hat. But I think that's all we need on the inside. So let's add this to the inside. So just grab your adhesive, Tracy. Add this to the inside of our card. Try not to place this onto the non-stick craft sheet. I will lift it up. But we don't want it on the non-stick craft sheet, just so that it doesn't make a mess. Just let me wipe my hands, like so. Just press that down. And then let's bring the card in. So there's your front of your card, which I absolutely love. And then if I just open the inside, you can see you've got the little fox on the inside and he's going to explore. And that is your card finished. But you can see, I just love the shading just around the circle there. And you can just see all the details. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll give it a try. I had great fun in making that and using my Ecoline pens. I absolutely loved using the Ecoline pens. So I hope you have a try and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Enjoy your Easter weekend. Bye.